Hi everyone, my name is Tania and today I am going to be sharing how to make a folder painted with florals using opaque black craft plastic. So to start off, I have cut down a piece of opaque black craft plastic into 10.5 inches by 9 inches, and I am scoring it at 4.75 inches and flipping it over, so because my scoring board isn't long enough, so this way I am left with a 1 inch spine where I will put in my ring binder mechanism. So to start off, I am sketching some rough petal shapes using a graphite pencil. This is just an ordinary pencil and it's really easy to sketch over the surface. It's got a little bit of a tooth, so it's not completely smooth, which is how I am able to transfer the graphite onto the surface. Now I'm also sketching in some leaf shapes as well, but you'll see me change my mind and you will see me erase those leaf shapes as well afterwards. So to start off, because I am painting on a black surface and the paints I'm using are slightly translucent, to make sure that they are true to color, that they appear true to color on the black background, I am putting down a layer of white acrylic paint, which I've slightly, just ever so slightly watered down, to the extent that I've only just wet my brush so that I can easily move the paint around. There you can see I'm rubbing off those leaves because they just felt a little bit too close to the flower shapes, and I just hand paint them on afterwards, which is what I'm doing here. And you can see that I was easily able to erase the pencil lines of the opaque black craft plastic. It rubs off completely and it doesn't really damage the surface unless you scratched it um, somehow with the pencil. So I am first of all I'm adding some marks, just using the other side of a pencil and just adding in some dots with some acrylic paint. So this is an acrylic paint which is slightly more opaque, uh, which means that I don't have to really put down a white background so that it is more apparent on the black craft plastic. And then I'm using a flat paintbrush to add in some more marks, basically using my brush as a stamp. So I'm just pressing it down so that I get like a overly shaped towards the bottom and a sharp edge towards the top. And I did this in stages just to make sure that my paint was drying in between. My white acrylic paint had dried, so I am adding in the yellow acrylic paint over the top of that white acrylic paint. Now I'm not covering the whole surface completely. I am still letting some of the brush marks show through the paint, because I think it adds to the overall impression that I want to give this finished piece. It's a part of my style that I love letting these brush strokes show through. If you don't want them to show through, you can do a couple of more layers so that it's more opaque. And for my leaves, I am adding, mixing in a little bit of that yellow and a brighter green to get like a yellow green hue to the leaves. Now, after making sure that the paint has dried completely, I am going to begin by adding in some additional shading with some Neocolor wax crayons, which are water soluble. But before I do that, I am adding some lines with a graphite pencil first of all, because the graphite pencil will not uh, lay down really well over that Neocolor wax pastel. So I did my graphite lines first to get those sketchy kind of distortions around the shapes. And then I am using the Neocolor wax pastels, which are almost like a crayon. They're beautiful and you can use them over a variety of surfaces. And over black craft plastic, they glide really beautifully. And if you wanted to, you could dilute them with some water and a brush as well to give some more shading. I wanted to give my floral art a really sketchy feel, so I didn't dilute it with a water brush or a brush and some water. And I am now adding some more darkness and some more sketchy lines to my shapes with a China pencil. This is an all-surface pencil, which you can easily get off any shop, any online shop. It's very easily available over the internet. It's also called a Chinagraph pencil. They're very, very good all-surface kind of pencils. If you want, you can use a Stabilo all pencil as well. Stabilo all pencils are water soluble. These Chinagraph pencils are not water soluble. And I had both the white and a black China pencil, and I'm continuing to add some more sketchy lines and markings around my painted dots and brush marks as well, just to give it a little bit more interest and also to give the artwork a little more of a cohesive feel. Because I'm using the same products in different ways on different parts of the piece, it sort of brings the whole thing together. Now to add a bit more definition to some of my flowers, I am using a brush pen. This is a brush pen by Jane Davenport. I think it's called an ink quill pen. All of the details will be up on the graphics website if you need to find out what exact products I've used. I believe this pen has some India ink in it. I'm not entirely sure, but it is an ink that goes on a variety of surfaces, including opaque black craft plastic. I love using this on synthetic papers to add my marks, and it dries permanent as well. So if I was going to add another wet medium on top, this will not budge. And then I, just to help the leaves and the flowers blend in more with the background, I am adding in some outlines as well to my flower and leaf shapes. Once this pen dries, it dries a little bit matte. It's almost like, when it dries, it almost looks like the same as the opaque black craft plastic, which has got a matte finish to it, which I really love. I tend to do a lot of my mixed media work with matte mediums, mediums that dry with a matte finish. And here you can see I am adding in some more marks, some more dots with a Posca marker, which is a paint marker. And paint markers also work really, really well over opaque black craft plastic. You can use alcohol markers as well, but do keep in mind that alcohol markers are translucent, so they might not show up so well. So where my crease lines were, where I added them with the scoreboard, I am folding it down very carefully with a bone folder. I'm laying a piece of paper on top because I don't want to disturb the paint work that's on there. It is touch dry, but it's not completely dry that I can go over it with a paint mark with my bone folder. So which is why I used that scrap piece of paper. Now I am adding in my ring binder mechanism, which you can easily buy off the internet. I bought mine off eBay. I bought them in a set. They were very, very inexpensive. And I've marked where I wanted the holes to go. And because I didn't have a hole punch that was long enough, I just added in some slits with a craft knife, and I added in my brads, threaded on the mechanism, and then attached it with the brads. And there you have it. Here is a finished look at the folder. I'm going to be using mine to store all of my samples that I make using graphics' various mediums. I do a lot of testing, and usually my pieces are floating around, so this way my experiments can have a home. If you would like some more information about graphics arts and their products, please visit the Graphics Arts website. Thanks for watching. Bye!